completely deleted you from the episode. It's just me talking and then a whole bunch of like gaps. Very faint Justin talking and coughing. Are we rolling? Excellent. Welcome everyone to the Video Reformation podcast. God, it feels so good to have a name for it.
Yeah, it's about time.
Like, I feel like I've bonded with it, like with a child now. Like, it's a thing. It's not just a thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just Anthony recording
us pontificating,
talking to sound blankets. It's actually for a purpose. All right. Well, anyway, like I said, welcome to the Video Reformation podcast. I am Ben Oliver.
I'm Justin Plant.
We're the co-founders of Storyboard Media and your hosts on this journey through what we call life, or maybe it's a little more specific focused than that. So we're talking about video for business. Specifically today, we're going to talk about video and sales. Before we jump into talking about video and sales, it appears that we have another new sponsor this week. Is that
They're
possible?
They're just rolling in.
They are. Okay, here's our sponsor this week. Tired of all the time it takes to prepare and cook dinner? Try BabyBird, a new meal delivery service shipping you pre-chewed meals and easy-to-swallow protein-packed pouches. Choose from 6, 10, or 15 pouch per week plans and save up to 15%. BabyBird. It's so easy, a BabyBird could do it.
So all of our sponsors we try out first, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and
I mean, we would not let anyone that we didn't believe in sponsor this show.
Right. We've turned down multiple sponsors.
Yes, because it just, I mean, you know, we turned down Big Pancake.
What?
Because Big Pancake was nowhere near as
compelling
or joyous as Big Waffle was.
Right. So we went to the place where they make all this food, right? Where they package everything, and it is actually chewed. It's not just blended or processed.
Oh no, it's actually chewed.
It's actually chewed.
Yes. Now, because it is targeted for humans, it's chewed by humans, not by mama birds.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, as you'll recall, I had a moral argument with. I mean, if you're going to call it BabyBird, why wouldn't you have mama birds chew it up? But apparently just from a production volume standpoint, they needed to bring in humans to chew this stuff up.
Yeah.
That's actually in the saliva, right? I mean, that's the key part of it.
First part of the breakdown process,
Anybody who thinks you would just blend this stuff is, I mean, clearly not aware of, like, veterinary science.
Just a tip for our listeners. When you get this stuff, it comes in the mail, right?
Yeah.
It's room temperature.
Uh-huh.
When somebody actually chews it, it's nice and warm.
Yeah.
So I suggest heating it up just a little bit.
Oh, that's a good move.
Before consumption. See,
I went the opposite route. I went with kind of the smoothie type route, and I actually put it in the fridge for 24 hours. Mm-hmm. And you know, it comes delivered in this like Capri Sun-like pouch, right? And then you just kind of pierce it with the extra wide straw, and that's really how you really have to like lean your head back to really just have it go straight down the gullet. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the key to the whole product.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're happy to have them on board as a sponsor.
Yeah.
I think it's time for us to start talking about video in sales. Seems like it's a pretty broad topic.
Yeah.
Feels like maybe we'll kind of scratch the surface today, and as we're talking through it, identify some opportunities to go deeper into some specific areas, maybe in some follow-up episodes. So, big picture then, how would you define what video in sales is?
This is going to be less like a definition and just kind of talking through this a little bit.
Okay. I stand by my question.
So video in sales, it's intended to help you, the buyer, through the sales process. And that's what it should. It should answer your questions. It should make you feel comfortable about your purchase. It should reassure your intent to buy something and differentiate your product and all those things. It doesn't always need to be administered by a salesperson to be video in sales.
Is it post-marketing though? I mean, is that kind of part of the definition, is that it's once somebody's been identified or handed off as a lead, then any video outreach or any video is then video in sales?
Yes.
Okay.
So if it's on your website, you're already aware of the product, and generally that's marketing's first step.
Yep.
At some point, every company is different, and you're gonna get your MQL and then your SQL and then whatever, especially in the B2B space. But yeah, if it's on your site, if it's on a product page, this is more this part of the sales process. People do not want to engage with salespeople. They put it off as long as they possibly can. In fact, if there's a buy button on your site, you're more likely just to go through that process than to have to pick up the phone and call somebody to say.
Well, and nobody wants to be sold.
Right.
I mean, and I think I haven't been in sales directly in over 10 years. And I think a lot of sales has changed in that 10 years. And I think the evolving buyer's journey has changed a lot in that time. And I don't think sales necessarily sales isn't as skeevy as it used to be, but I think people still have that connotation. I imagine if you did a word association with 100 random people and you used the word sales, the most likely image would be like a used car salesman. And so people, I think, are just afraid to be sold, and because there's so much information available to them, they're willing to go through a lot more of that process on their own, self-educate, right? Self-differentiate, all those things. But I guess that just means you've got to provide that information for your prospects.
Yep. And why not do it in the most compelling medium possible? Text.
Right.
I'm joking, obviously. But that, just to my point, video is a salesperson. Video will never stray from the script. It will be exactly what it's supposed to be every time.
That's true.
Video is going to be your best salesperson. Video is going to take somebody from just hearing about your product all the way, or not even knowing about your product, all the way.
Or even interested in your product.
Yeah, they could take them all the way up to the sale and post, but if there is the necessity to engage with a salesperson, most people are trying to get 80% of the way through that process without talking to a person. So video is a salesperson, and people that are not using it that way or even thinking about it that way, they're losing opportunity to help their customers go where they want to go.
That's interesting. What about those types of products and services that require a salesperson somewhere along the way? There are a lot of things you can just put a buy button there for, but there are a lot of things that are more complicated than that.
Sure, like us, all of our projects are custom priced for,
right,
for the most part.
Right. So at some point, somebody, God forbid, is going to have to talk to you and get you to basically find them the right solution for them, right? So how can video become a part of that when there is an individual as a part of that process? Let's say they've gotten to that 80% threshold, and I guess they have to be interested and intrigued and have enough intent to then say, okay, fine, I'll talk to someone. What does that next 20% look like? How does video play a part in that?
Well, that's where video selling and video marketing, they're two different things, but they could be exactly the same content. They could be.
Okay.
But video selling, in this scenario where you're engaging with a salesperson, the big difference there is it's a one-to-one instead of a one-to-many. So as a salesperson, you're using video directly, sending video directly to that prospect, or at least sending them to the page. I guess that's all you really can do anyhow, because you can't watch video in emails. But it's that one-to-one action of here's your question, or I understand your question, here's an answer to that, or here's a different way to think about things. Or
this just occurred to me. Do you think there's an element of it that there's a lot of talk in B2B marketing and sales about persona development, right? And that persona development helps you understand the journey that your typical, prototypical, average potential clients kind of take. I imagine that oftentimes those are aggregated and averages and idealized scenarios, but it feels like, especially in B2B, you get to a certain point and then the persona journey kind of breaks down. At some point within an organization and within an individual purchaser, and it's so rarely an individual purchaser also, but within the way that an organization makes buying decisions, don't you have to have someone start making that one-to-one conversation to shepherd that individual person or people within an organization to that close? I guess what I'm getting at is I feel like you can kind of automate and create based on certain expectations, but every buyer is going to get somewhere, and they're going to need to be taken across the finish line by an individual person their way.
Yes, if what you're selling requires that sort of custom approach, in some ways, like where we have to customize packages and pricing.
Yeah, and then because it's easy, and I imagine one of the follow-up episodes is going to be all about one-to-one personalized video. But let's touch on kind of the top level of one-to-one personalized sales video. Maybe we go back and can talk about some of the other content that's maybe marketing and sales content also, but so much of video selling is, like you were talking about, that one-to-one opportunity. And you in fact do a lot of it. Where do you find the opportunities and kind of the advantages of using video in sales, speaking to an individual person? I
find myself using it in similar situations over and over again because it seems to be the most effective way to do things. So my favorite is prospecting. Whether that's just a pure cold outreach to someone that you've identified or a company that you've identified as being potentially a good fit. The cold outreach it's you almost can't even call it that because it's so much warmer seeing that person's face. And then they also know that, it's likely that this isn't a mass-produced thing like a template that you would use in a sales outreach if it's just text-based. Because you got their name in there and you're talking directly to them and you're bringing up their company, or you've even got their LinkedIn page pulled up or their company website pulled up.
Is that something you make sure that you put in the thumbnail? Because I imagine you still, I think there's still a novelty to it, right? There's still a novelty to, and I imagine you're talking about email outreach here, right? Primarily?
Yep.
There's still a novelty to seeing a video embedded in an email.
Yep.
There's even more connection and interest if there's something personalized before I even click that play button.
Right.
So how important is it to put something in the thumbnail that is that personalized piece?
I mean, you're just going to increase your chances of getting clicked. The more personalized that feels, the more likely someone is going to say, even if I know this person's selling me something, I'm curious, I'm engaged, I want to know. He or she took the time to think about me and present something specifically to me. And so, I'll check it out.
What kind of results have you seen, big picture, in terms of engagement to that type of content as opposed to just like a standard cold or semi-warm email outreach without a video?
I don't have current statistics. They fluctuate every week, basically. Sure. But
I didn't tell you I was going to ask you that question, so I can't expect you to have numbers off the top of your head.
But the responses I do get, like the replies, are very emphatic, and they're just already they're so much more engaged, and just excited about the opportunity of what's ahead. Okay, great, I love that video, and you guys sell video. That makes sense. That fits together. Let's go down this path together and figure out if there's something here. They are a lot more engaged, having watched what I sent them.
How much of it do you think is just a cynicism toward like automated email outreach?
People are sometimes just generally thankful that I sent a video to them that was just for them.
It shows. I feel like it shows. I mean, I've received a few. I got one just a couple weeks ago from a new platform that I hadn't heard of. I think it was Bonjoro. I got one a couple months ago that I think I even like turned it and showed to you because the thumbnail had a screenshot of our website, but we had just recently changed the header copy, and so I could tell when the screen capture was taken, which somehow made it more real. It's almost like because it was last week's iteration of the hero copy on the site, somehow that made it more like of an actual thing than, you know, it was just pulling a reference image from the live version of our site or something like that. But I mean, I even still find them compelling, and I'm even on a couple kind of nurture lists for some other kind of agency consultants and things like that. And one of them in particular that I think of uses video in almost all of his emails, but he's just putting a text link in. And I've actually emailed back to him saying, you know, thanks for the info, love being on the newsletter. Can I just make one suggestion? I'm not trying to sell anything here. And I'm basically begging the guy to just A/B test putting a thumbnail with a play button instead of just, and maybe he is, and I just happen to be in the B side of the test that's just still getting text links or whatever. But he's so good at using video in those nurturing, and he's trying to sell basically like an agency masterclass kind of thing. But it's not so much a marketing piece, it's kind of a sales piece. And so he's using video, but he's just like right on the precipice of using it so much better than he could. And it's just frustrating for me to every week get another email in there that just has another YouTube text link to click.
Oh, he's not going to give you the satisfaction of improving his own. He goes back into your
He has
template.
segmented me into my own list. That asshole from that video agency.
This guy.
Everyone else gets now a thumbnail with a play button, and I still get text. Just to see if I'll bring it up again. And I really wasn't trying to sell him anything. It just was one of those moments that compelled me. Is like, the content here is great. I bet you get a whole lot more interaction if you just added that.
Yeah.
Is it a novelty that's going to wear off?
Personalization?
Yes.
It's hard to say, but everything's moving towards it.
I don't want it to be the case because of what we do, but it feels like the kind of thing that it's going to reach a critical mass, and then everybody's going to see it just like they see email sequences.
Marketers
or something like that.
Kill every great idea. They just beat it to death.
Yes.
Sucks.
Yeah. So I guess the big takeaway there is get on it now, while it's still a bit of a novelty and still a way to get someone's attention.
Right.
Then, you know, say, oh yeah, I'll keep this on my radar for another 2 years, and then by the time you actually do it in 2 years, it's like, well, everyone else is doing it. I think that's so much of the opportunity with sales too. Thinking about like how to integrate video into maybe your existing cadence with your prospects. Like that novelty factor, that personalization factor, that individualization factor, you could. I guess what I'm getting at is what are some good ways to bring video into an existing sales cadence as opposed to just trying to like shoehorn it in? Are there ways to kind of seamlessly make it a part of traditional outreach in sales?
When you say sales cadence, are you talking about like the prospecting era where you haven't actually made contact yet?
When I say sales cadence, I think of everything from prospect through to close. So, you know, there are certain things that you do. You've got to, you know, make certain outreaches and certain types of outreaches to try to get that first demo or that first net new meeting or whatever. And then after you hit that milestone, then you've got to, that first net new meeting is about identifying who the decision makers are. And then you've got to make sure that you're presenting to them properly. And I mean, whatever they may be, I feel like there are, for larger organizations that have a developed sales team, they've kind of got these cadences all the way throughout. And at least when you're trained as a salesperson, you're kind of trained to do this, use this medium, mix up in-person visits and phone calls and email and handwritten notes and, I mean, whatever those things are.
Yeah.
Isn't video just another tool that you can kind of add to that and not necessarily replace any of the other aspects, but use it in there to kind of elevate certain points maybe?
And I think, unfortunately, I think a lot of salespeople just revert to what they're just most comfortable with.
Sure.
I happen to be very comfortable with video,
right.
and frequently use it, where other people might try and drop in if they're geographically close. I feel like you posed a question and then spoke for a while, so I kind of lost. But different opportunities to use that in your cadence.
Yeah, I'll take that as a compliment, by the way.
Was it? Was it?
You asked a question and then talked a lot and maybe answered your own question. Yes. I guess what I was trying to get at is what are some effective ways to bring video into an existing sales cadence? So
back to prospecting, there's kind of that introductory cold email of here's who I am and here's why I think we should talk. I really like using that personalized sort of video right after like a conference, and I'll have like 32 business cards. I mean, when you go to a conference, you meet hundreds of people, and it's hard to remember who is who and who is important and who mattered. And this is a great way to remind them of who you are and to kind of etch it, burn in their brain.
And if you do it quickly enough, they're still going to remember your face from having met you.
Yeah. The next day is when I just sit there with a pile of cards and spend an hour sending out quick emails.
What about, it seems to me that there's a big opportunity when you're doing kind of a consensus building type sales process too, right? Maybe you found your foot in the door and you've got that person convinced that your solution is right for them. But of course, you've got to convince their boss and the CFO and whatever. How can you use video to kind of help in that process too?
One of the benefits of using video is that it is that consistent messaging that is being shared within that organization.
So let's say you have spoken to your kind of foot in the door prospect and you've given them the initial demo of your platform. And they loved like 3 segments of your platform, and that would really apply to them. And they said, "Oh, my boss is gonna love this and this, whatever." Is there a way to maybe follow up with that conversation with either a part of that demo or a subset of that demo or something that you're enabling then kind of your contact to then share the right information with their people?
Is that a thing? I guess. It's something since we work with a lot of B2B clients that are in the tech world, software is a big base of our clients. We end up creating a lot of micro demos, and those micro demos are used to kind of infiltrate and penetrate the organization so that everybody's got different roles at your prospect's organization. Some people are going to like this feature or that one, but being able to send these things out can get people excited by showing them a little bit of the stuff that's going to be in the demo, enough so that it will get them to engage and commit to doing a full half-hour demo or whatever it takes. So we use it as almost like a little Trojan horse, kind of speaking to each person individually, make it really quick, really, really compelling, and leave them wanting more.
And so those micro demos then are things, of course, that you've made before. They may even be marketing content. They might even be on the site somewhere. But then you're either creating a personalized playlist for your advocate to forward on, or you're even getting those people's information to then create a custom playlist for the modules or parts or whatever that individual person would really see benefit in. Even if there's 10 feature sets to your product, one individual is probably only going to, see real benefit in 2 or 3 of them. We'll send them the micro demos for those pieces, right? Okay. All right. That's what I was trying to get at. And I didn't want to just say it. I wanted to ask it. What else?
There are a couple other instances in these cadences. It comes to the point where you've shared the information, they've got pricing, they have intent to buy, they've set aside the budget, they've got a time frame that they need to do. They're just trying to decide which option to go with. I like using quick testimonials at that moment where they're trying to figure out so that other people can say, yes, I used it. This is why it was great.
Mitigate risk.
Exactly. Mitigate risk and help them just feel better about moving forward. Case studies are another great example of just showing someone going from the position they're in to being successful with that product. Just makes them feel a lot more comfortable moving forward.
It occurs to me that once you start engaging with someone through video, you almost have to keep that going. Yeah. Like once you get someone to a certain stage, it's like you can't then just go back to, you could occasionally, but you can't really just go back to regular emails. It's almost like it's your proxy for an in-person conversation.
Yeah. I mean, my oldest kid loves those little gummy, like the sugar, just gummy, like packets.
Bears?
No, like little packets of gummy.
Bears?
They're just they're gummies.
Worms?
Like fruit snack type.
Okay.
Gummy. Yeah, Welch's or whatever. And
Not a sponsor.
Yet. One week, I just gave those right when he woke up. Like, against my better judgment, I let him have those. And then the next week, I didn't have any. He ate them all. And he was pissed off. He wanted those gummies. That's how he wanted to have breakfast.
That's how I am with you with new clients. You bring us a new client, and I'm all happy, and like I nap, and like most days.
That's what happens.
And then the next week, I expect you to bring us another new client, and I get really cranky when you don't.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
No, but when you find something that works and that gets traction, why stop? Unless it's just all sugar, then you stop.
Yeah. You mentioned in one of your previous blog posts about this too, that contract review and kind of, I mean, and I want to extend that out to you in proposals. I imagine you would want to be in front of someone for a proposal, but a lot of this stuff is scalable, and so you're not always in front of the person. Like, it seems like there's a good opportunity to use that one-to-one personalized approach in those things, in those opportunities too. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, so generally when I'm sending over a contract, proposal or contract, whatever, I want to highlight certain things, whether it be terms, so that they're very clear as to what they might be agreeing to. Certain features that I know they were really excited about that we're going to include in this package, and it's better than just sending over a document. They're getting the document; they need the document, but being able to walk them through that. One of our favorite mentors, if you will, Blair Enns, says the proposal is not a sheet of paper. The proposal is the words that comes out of your mouth. And so I think it's very important that a prospect, that you are included in that proposal process and not just sending a document as your proxy to hopefully close a deal. So now let's say they have the contract, you've got it, it's signed, right? And we're all good to go moving forward. I like using an account handoff or sort of thing. So you've been dealing with me the whole time, but now Sarah, your account manager, is here, and she'll be working with you for the most part moving forward. So a video where it's, maybe it's me thanking you, and then bring Sarah into frame, or just have her create her own and attach it as a playlist kind of thing. Is just a nice warm way to keep the momentum going in that new account. Makes them feel really comfortable, like they know, like they're being taken care of.
Well, and I imagine it's kind of what we were just talking about with, once you start it, you can't really take it away from them. I mean, if you're successful in video and sales, I imagine you want to invest in video and customer success too.
Right. I mean, the customer, especially in a lot of these software companies where they have annual or monthly contracts. The idea there for a lot of them is to land and expand, and the ability to grow those accounts over the next couple months or years is really where they start cashing in and growing the lifetime value of that account. And so customer success becomes a huge part of it, whether it's just onboarding and getting them used to the product and learning how to use it, or all the way through like new product features, in-app messaging that something like Pendo or Gainsight might provide with the Pendo Drift announcement a couple weeks ago and Drift video. Man, I mean, there's gonna be some really interesting things moving forward.
We've done a little bit of dabbling recently. You've done a little bit of dabbling recently in video in terms of getting a net promoter score also.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too far off topic because I imagine we'll have an entire episode about video and customer success. Sure. But I mean, this is kind of the thing. If you're using video in your marketing and you continue doubling down on video in your sales process, you should also be investing in video for your customer success so that they have that further, deeper one-to-one connection. And when they're thinking about whether to pay that monthly or annual subscription again or whatever it is, they're thinking about a person that they interact with instead of just like a brand name or a wire transfer account number or whatever.
Yeah. Definitely.
And that's just good for us.
Yeah, more video.
No reason we can't be a little self-serving here. But it just does make good sense across the board. Okay, what else on cadence? Anything else?
We could be more specific about each of those and how to do it and whatnot. And we've got plenty of blog posts with that information. But, just keeping this a high level, then we can kind of move forward.
Video being a hugely engaging medium, but also a medium where you can get the most detailed analytics about your viewers, your prospects. Mm-hmm. How does that apply to video and selling? What opportunities are there, and what advantages can you gain from seeing how your prospects are consuming video?
With video or content in general being a part of the sales process, that's normal. I think everybody understands that. Think about a PDF, like it's what do they call those? White paper
or an ebook.
One of the only metrics you really get on that are views or downloads or whatever. That's it. You don't really get to understand much more about the consumption of that media.
Did they read it after they downloaded it?
Right.
Did they read one section over and over? Did they forward it to anyone? Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. Video, by the nature of it being a very streaming and linear element type of media, it lends itself to being tracked incredibly well. Like every step along the way, every interaction with that element, with that video, can be tracked. So, how many times did this one person watch it is an indicator of, well, they like what they see, or they need to, they're engaged with it. Did they rewatch a particular segment multiple times?
Well, that's hugely valuable as a salesperson. Mm-hmm. I mean, a couple times a week, you'll just kind of say out of nowhere, oh, so-and-so just viewed the video again. Mm-hmm. And it could be someone who were actively involved in selling to. It could be someone who dropped off the radar 3 months ago, mm-hmm. and all of a sudden they're going back looking for your emails and playing back through whatever it was you sent them at a certain time. I think we've even seen, you can even kind of tell when someone's either completely obsessed with you or has likely forwarded the video on to someone because it has like 36 plays in an hour and a half or something like that, right? I mean, that could be just one person sitting there like watching it on a loop. But that's usually a good indicator that they forwarded it on to someone, which means they've either found it informational, educational, entertaining, whatever it is. Unless, of course, it's one of your sales fails that you've accidentally set, and then they're just saying, look at this guy.
Yeah.
Hashtag sales fails. Okay. What else?
So here's another interesting example of video and sales, and it's something that I haven't fully explored, and I think I'm under NDA, so I can't say a whole lot, but which by extension you are too, and everybody in this office.
And I think a good rule of thumb is if you think you're under NDA, just operate like you're under NDA.
But we have a client who, we may have to redact some of this, I don't know. We have a client who...
Anthony just rolled his eyes. It's like, oh God.
Who sells tools to other salespeople. That's their core business. Is they sell tools to other salespeople all across the world, all across the country. They have created so it's all this. It's like agency and production company and distribution company, and it's like very. But they're a tech company. They're not
and platform and yes.
Yeah, all of that. It was very fascinating. That may be hard to follow. With like, it's our client who.
The harder it is to follow, the better for our NDA, I imagine.
So if that made any sense, we can leave it in the episode.
Yeah.
But it's just like, man, people are doing some really interesting stuff with video, things that I haven't even thought about.
Yeah.
And we're gonna try and get them on the podcast here in a couple months once it's been released and out in the open.
Well, and I think there's so many advancements with this. I mean, we got the Vidyard Spring Go Video update 2 weeks ago, something like that. And one of the things that is available, have we talked to them about this? That's available with the spring update is the ability to mass personalize your thumbnails.
Yeah.
So we've had some interesting experiences, and I'll preface this by saying that sales and marketing, if I'm going to be nice about it, I'm going to say that sales and marketing alignment has been improving over time. Another way to put it is that just the lines are so blurred between marketing and sales.
Yeah.
When you get to a company the size of ours, which is tiny, it's almost impossible to distinguish some of our marketing efforts from some of our sales efforts.
Yeah.
But we've tried to utilize Go Video and kind of personal, if not personalized and individualized videos by segmentation, but on a mass scale, right? So not the kind of one-to-one, hi Justin, Ben here, wanted to talk to you about, Sasquatch costumes.
This part of your website.
Or that, whatever might be most relevant. Wanted to use you as a model for our next Sasquatch costume. Whatever that may be, to then something that is like, hey Justin, I understand you're a big fan of Sasquatch, or not hey Justin, but hi, I understand you're a big fan of Sasquatch. We've got some compelling products and services all around Sasquatch development and Sasquatch loving. One of the things that you lose by that is that hey Justin approach, right? You lose, it's still novel. It's still video. It's more of a marketing thing because it's to a mass audience. But now with this new feature, you can at least take the same message but start it off with a magically created thumbnail that looks like I wrote on a whiteboard or used, whatever that marquee sign thing is that you use, and it says hello Justin on it. And it just syncs up with HubSpot and it pulls the first name record and it creates in the same handwriting or whatever that thing in that thumbnail that makes it seem like it's individualized. So there, long story short, there are so many advancements because so many people are finding benefit in doing this. There's so much opportunity that whether it's what our to be not named client or Vidyard are doing, there's a whole lot that's going to change. With
automation and customization, you're not going to know authentically if this is if it was done just for me or if it...
Well, and then, we've talked about it for months now, but now that it's really in the news, these deep fakes, right? And be able to basically almost compellingly make a video of someone saying whatever you want them to say. And it's getting harder and harder to tell what's an authentic message and what's a faked message. I can only imagine what that's going to do to the celebrity endorsement model. As we embark on the wild, wild west of deepfakes here, you could have, from what I understand, you can get Shaquille O'Neal to endorse your product for anything, just based on the things but you could have Shaquille O'Neal and make a compelling looking video saying, buy my foot and baking powder. As a subtle nod to one of our former sponsors that's no longer sponsoring us. They went out of business. The opportunity for using video and selling is going to evolve so much over the next couple of years, as it has. Personalized video wasn't even a thing 2.5, 3 years ago.
Or if you wanted to do that, it was damn hard to do.
Hard and expensive. And just not worth doing. Now it's worth doing. All right. Any final thoughts on video and selling or video and sales? Keeping in mind that this was kind of the 30,000 foot view. And
No, I think we'll get more into some of this stuff. And
I think there's an entire episode on just the one-to-one, right? The platforms that are available, the tools to use, some best practices. I think there's all kinds of additional episodes that we can kind of dive into this stuff. And I would encourage our audience too to, interact with us in such a way that, let us know what you want to know more about too. Because We're just coming up with these topics because based on the people we talk to, we think that people are interested in these things, but no better way than to hear from our actual audience what they want to hear about. So reach out to us in the comments or shoot us an email, and we will certainly address whatever it is you want us to talk about.
Thanks for listening.
Next time on...
Do you have to mention the sponsor again?
Oh, should we do the sponsor again?
I think we have to.
Yeah, I think I have to read the sponsor. If you could get real close to that mic and just make some kind of like wet chewing sounds while I read this, it might add some.
It was in the contract.
Yeah. Tired of all the time it takes to prepare and cook dinner? Try BabyBird, a new meal delivery service shipping you pre-chewed meals and easy-to-swallow protein-packed pouches. Choose from 6, 10, or 15 pouch per week plans and save up to 15%. BabyBird. It's so easy, a BabyBird could do it. I think that one's got staying power. I imagine that's going to be a sponsorship that they want to keep investing in with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or we'll just have another one on the next episode. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's about it for us. Maybe a little more editing in this one than a lot of our other episodes, but hey, that's part of the process here. I'm Ben Oliver.
I'm Justin Plant.
And we'll see you next time.
What kind of muffin did you get earlier?
Cue that. I just got a plain croissant.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
From Ninth Street.
From Ninth Street. Not a sponsor.
They didn't have the chocolate?
They did. I've been pretty good the last few months. I mean, I don't need to get the chocolate croissant.
I mean, how is a croissant even like a suitable breakfast?
It's just I just needed to break my fast. I just needed a little bit of something. It was also like 10:30.